Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So today I have my Porsche 911 outside because it is such a beautiful day here in Queens, New York. And today I want to talk about why the Porsche 911 is a special car to me, because I'm embarking on the 4-year mark of ownership. Yeah, time flies. I've had this car since September 29th of 2020. I bought the car actually in July, but I took delivery in September around the time of my birthday. My birthday's the 24th, but I took delivery the 29th, hence the 29. And it was also my baseball number. So the number 29 just means a lot to me because it's the day I actually collected the car. And if you split up the two, it turns into 1 plus 1, and the 9, it's 911 backwards. There's a lot of significance behind that number. It's one of my favorite numbers in the world. And here we are, we have my Porsche 911. So I'm gonna go around the car and tell you some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I have planned for the future. And yeah, let me just go around the car and tell you the things that have changed since ownership and the things that I've had to deal with in my experience of ownership for 4 years. And I'm gonna tell you what it's been like. So first, these back wheels. These back wheels were originally these wheels in the front were originally in the back. So what I did was I took these wheels and I placed them in the front axle. And then I went out to Fuchsfeld, Germany. I didn't actually go to Germany, but I went to the website that is the distributor for these wheels. And I bought the 8s for the rear. And I am extremely happy with this setup because it just fills out the wheel well, real well. That's a line from Pusha T. And, you know, it looks right. It's the perfect fitment. I may get spacers in the back. I'm not entirely sure yet. Or I may do a whole new wheel setup. Only time will tell. But I'm really happy with the way that this wheel setup gives the presentation of this car. It just makes it look right. The stance is right. It's got the European ride height and the lowered suspension because it's got the sport suspension. So it's completely dialed in for the track, and that's the way that this car sits. So I haven't had to do anything really to the car. Exterior-wise, there was a few things that I had to do, aside from the wheels. This is a problematic area with a lot of these cars, so in order to prevent water from getting in, these seals have to be changed constantly. And it is not an easy thing to do. You know, to address this issue requires a lot of patience and a lot of time, and it requires an expert to sort of put it in and glue it in place perfectly because you want to prevent water from getting into the cabin. What can happen is a lot of cars that have this seal incorrectly done, water will pour in through these channels, and then eventually it will rust out the floor because these seals are not done properly. It's a reason why many people opt for a non-sunroof car, and that's why there's a premium on them, because people just know. Sunroofs and convertibles and Targas, they experience these problems. But when the seal is done correctly, the car is meant to last for a really long time. And that's why a lot of people just don't drive them in the rain, because they're gonna say, oh, they melt. Well, with these seals, you know, this is 1980s technology, and this is literally a felt seal. You literally have to just take care of it and make sure that it is done properly. Now, in order to explain further water retention, the one thing that I had to do that was imperative to me was making sure that this rear window was properly done. So this entire rubber and this metal seal all the way around, this had to be done, and it was not cheap. You had to get a glass guy. Thankfully, my friends at Autosport Design were able to take care of that, and it looks 100% brand new. Just like new metal, new rubber, all the way around. The perimeter, it has to be laced in with a rope, and that is the same process that needs to be done in the front. But thankfully, my windshield is still intact. This is the original windshield to the car. This, in fact, is the original glass in the back. You know, all the glass is 100% original to the car. The only thing is, this rubber is, it's still very flexible. It's brand new. So that will prevent water from ever getting in to the cabin, and it will prevent rust in the long term. It's important that the seals and the rubber are in good shape, because in many cars you see that this front cowl will rust out because the rubber is very firm, it's very brittle, it's very hard. You want to prevent that at all costs. And thankfully I haven't had to deal with any of those issues. There's no water getting into the car, because I rarely do ever drive it in the rain. If I get caught in the rain, then fine, I deal with it. But I make sure to dry the car with, pretty much immediately. Now let me go to the interior. The floor mats. That's something that I did as a cosmetic upgrade. I rarely ever fold down these seats. I have my towel, my microfiber towel, which does not ever see the exterior of the paint on this car, because I just use it to eliminate dust off the dashboard. But I keep it there just for, just to keep the car clean on the inside. Carpets are in pretty good shape underneath. New speakers. Now I'll get to that in a minute. I'll open the frunk as a preview. But these speakers are Alpine speakers. I originally had MB Quartz speakers. They were aftermarket. I did have MB Quartz speakers in here. I put Alpine. Alpine was a distributor to Porsche in the 80s and 90s, so I felt it was appropriate to put Alpine speakers. The R is the only giveaway for the R series. Excellent speakers when paired with the Porsche Classic Radio, which I have talked about extensively on this channel. I did a full video on it. It's one of my more successful videos. And the fact that these look period correct adds to the allure. It sort of hides the fact that they're aftermarket speakers. Everything looks factory, so to me, looking factory is the most important thing with this car. And then of course I did a 917 inspired shift knob. The bushings were replaced when I purchased the car. That was something that I had agreed upon with Brett Sloan when I bought the car, so that was very important. Underneath the wiring does look like a rat's nest because there's no place to hide it. The 964 generation does a better job of hiding all this, but everything is zip tied and tucked in underneath. But at my height, I rarely ever see anything. I have my Porsche steering wheel done by Workshop 5001 out in California. It has been reupholstered in spinny back leather, so it smells like an Hermes bag whenever I touch it. It's a very nice feeling wheel. The leather is extremely expensive and extremely premium. It is an overkill purchase, but it's one of the touch points of the car, and I felt that I deserve it. So yeah, let's go back to the radio and what I have tucked in underneath in the front of the car. That door slam is still one of the coolest attributes of this vehicle. The Porsche logo. I have a bunch of stuff here from the 1600 Veloce, a few gift bags, some stuff from Porsche from the 75th anniversary. I have the Duncan Drive sticker that was never applied to the car, but thankfully these companies, they all came through. These are the towels that I use on the exterior of the car in case I get caught in a weird pickle. Here is the option sticker still on the car. That sticker shouldn't be removed from the car at any cost. That's some of the race fluid. And underneath, I have the amplifier in front of the smuggler's box in order to get that premium sound. This was a controversial bit, but this panel was already here. I figured, you know what? Let me just attach it to what's already there. It's hidden behind this piece over here, so it just gives additional room. And when you're closing this trunk lid, make sure you don't press the logo. You press around it. But yeah, those are some of the modifications that I've done to the car over the course of the past 4 years. I haven't had to do much. You know, this car is pretty straightforward. It was mechanically sorted. I've had a wonderful experience. I did have to do the DME relay, but that's something that comes with the territory of these older 911s. It's something that happens to all 911s. So at the 3-year mark, you do have to get ready for a DME relay or modifying the ECU or just upgrading the ECU and make sure that the soldering points are all on point. And that is underneath the seat in this particular car. But mechanically, everything is sorted, thankfully. So this car is just ready for action, ready for the driving season, regular oil changes. I had to do the front brakes because they were getting worn down a little bit, and I did everything to stock specifications. I didn't do anything in order to modify it extensively in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, this car is something else. So what am I going to do next? I don't think there's anything to do next to this car. I'm definitely keeping it. This is one of the permanent mainstays of my future collection. This car will whoops, that was a bird, flew right over my head. This car is one of the mainstays of my permanent collection. I am thinking, and you could leave it in the comments below, I'm thinking about doing roof wheels. Roof wheels were offered for this 1987 through 1989 G50 transmission chassis. I think it would look good. It would be 8s in the front and 9s in the rear, so it would fill out the gap even more. And I think the roof wheels do look fantastic. It's more of a turbo look, but if we look at the Yellowbird, it looks fantastic on that chassis. And the roof Yellowbird are pretty much identical to the dimensions of this Carrera. The only difference is they shoved a roof turbo in the back of this vehicle. So it's something that I'm thinking about. I would only do that if I got the right pricing for this. But it's something to consider. You know, because I like keeping it in the stock form. The Fuchs wheels are iconic and pretty much synonymous to this chassis. The roof wheels would be, in my opinion, the only logical upgrade to this car. But that's only if I get it for a good price, and I would probably color match those wheels to this car. And that's always taking a chance because I kind of like the blue on black. So yeah, leave it in the comments below. Are roof wheels something that I should do? I've thought about doing the Porsche inserts on the leather, but I kind of like my original leather. It looks really good, you know, and blue on blue is such a rare option that I do not want to touch the leather because it's actually in really good condition and the seats are impossibly comfortable. So I think I'm going to leave the interior as is, and to me it's a perfect interior. I just think it just looks right. It looks very 80s. The seats are close up, so it's, you know, it's just a tight fitting cabin with a ton of room, surprisingly, for someone who's like me, because I'm 6'5", and I fit perfectly in this car. So let's listen to that door slam again. Unbelievable. So yeah, leave it in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, and comment down below because I plan on talking more about this car and maybe even talking more about the Pathfinder in the distance. I have to do some work to that car because that's my parents' car. And I do love that car. That's a family car that's been in the family since 2004, around the time when I was in college. And later today, I am getting my Porsche Cayenne back. My daily driver is returning to me after getting some extensive work. So I'm looking forward to it. Leave it in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Talk to you later, guys.